No one warns you that silence in a workshop can sound louder than a confession. And no one tells you how dangerous it feels when the person you're not supposed to want looks at you like you're the only man left in the room. Ethan had always been the perfect colleague, sharp-minded, disciplined, and maddeningly composed. We worked side by side at the engineering firm in Chicago, drafting blueprints that could shape bridges and highways, but nothing compared to the blueprint he had been drawing quietly inside me for months. I told myself I was imagining it, that those glances over the computer screen, those lingering moments when our hands brushed against the same set of plans, were accidents. But that night, that proved me wrong. The office was empty except for us, the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead mixing with the faint buzz of the city outside. I was bent over a drawing board, exhausted, fighting to finish a report due in the morning. When I looked up, Ethan was watching me, his expression unreadable. Something flickered in his eyes, something raw, something that terrified and thrilled me. "You should get some rest," he said, his voice lower than usual, carrying weight it had never carried before. I laughed bitterly. "Rest doesn't build bridges." He smirked, but instead of walking back to his desk, he came closer, too close. His hand brushed the back of my chair as he leaned over to look at the papers. The heat of him radiated into my skin, and for a second, I couldn't breathe. My pulse roared in my ears like a collapsing structure. It should have stopped there. It should have been another near miss, another memory to bury. But Ethan's hand didn't pull away. It hovered, hesitated, then rested lightly on my shoulder. My chest tightened. "Ethan, I know," he interrupted, his voice quiet but firm, as if he had been waiting years to say it. "I know you've felt it too." The room tilted. I wanted to deny it, to push him away, to laugh it off as if this were some cruel joke. But when I turned my head, our eyes locked, and the truth between us became undeniable. All the nights of staying late together, all the small gestures, the way his laughter lingered longer when it was with might all unraveled and reassembled into something terrifyingly clear. He wanted me, and I wanted him. Still, fear clawed at me. This was America. This was a workplace. 2 male engineers, 1 mistake, and everything could collapse. The risks were too high, and yet so was the temptation. "Ethan, this isn't," but before I could finish, his lips brushed mine. Not forceful, not rushed, just a whisper of a kiss, fragile and trembling, as if asking for permission. I froze. Every rational thought screamed at me to stop. Yet my body betrayed me. I leaned in, closing the space between us, deepening the kiss until all the restraint I had built crumbled like a faulty design. When we finally broke apart, his forehead pressed against mine, and I heard the faintest laugh escape his chest, full of relief and disbelief. "I crossed the line, didn't I?" he whispered. I swallowed hard, my hands trembling against the edge of the desk. "Yeah, but so did I." And just like that, the night became something more than overtime. It became the beginning of something we couldn't take back. Something that could ruin use or save us. But beginnings are rarely safe. The days that followed were chaos. I avoided him at work, terrified someone might see the way my eyes followed him, or the way his hand would almost brush mine when passing documents. My chest burned with guilt, but the memory of that kiss haunted me every second. Then came the dinner invitation. "Just a drink," he said casually, sliding the note across my desk when no one was looking. His handwriting was sharp, deliberate, like every calculation he ever made. I should have said no. God knows I wanted to. But curiosity or maybe longing drove me to that small bar downtown, where the lights were low and the music soft enough to hide the pounding of my heart. Ethan was already there, a glass of whiskey in his hand, his tie loosened, his hair falling messily over his forehead. He looked nothing like the disciplined engineer I knew. He looked human, flawed, dangerously beautiful. "You came," he said, a hint of surprise in his tone, as if he half expected me to run. "I shouldn't have." "Maybe not," he agreed, sipping his drink. "But I'm glad you did." I wanted to keep it formal, wanted to talk about work, about anything other than what was pulling us together like gravity. But the words slipped, unguarded. "Why me, Ethan?" His eyes softened. Because you see me, not the perfect engineer, not the reliable colleague. And because when I look at you, I feel alive in a way I never have before. I laughed bitterly. You make it sound like I'm some kind of rescue mission. No, he said firmly, leaning in. You're not a rescue. You're the reason I stopped pretending. The air between us burned. I could have walked away then. I could have ended it before it spiraled. But the truth was I didn't want to. And that night, as we walked out into the cool Chicago air, his hand brushed mine again. This time I didn't pull away. The city felt colder when we left that bar together, as if the world already knew we were carrying something dangerous. I remember the way his fingers grazed mine on the walk to the train, how my chest tightened with every step, expecting someone to notice. But nobody did. Chicago was too busy, too loud, too wrapped in its own stories to care about two men walking close enough that their shoulders brushed in the night. For weeks after, we balanced on a knife's edge. By day, we were just colleagues, buried in deadlines, blueprints, and boardroom presentations. By night, in stolen hours no one else could see, we became something more, confessions whispered in darkened apartments, laughter muffled in pillows, hearts racing at the thought of discovery. It was thrilling, terrifying, intoxicating. But no secret stays perfect forever. It started with whispers in the office. A late-night janitor who saw us leaving together too often. A coworker who caught a glance that lingered too long. The engineering firm was a world built on precision and control, but people are messy, and rumors travel faster than blueprints. One afternoon, during a meeting with the senior partners, I caught Ethan's eye across the room. A flash of fear passed over his face before he buried it under his usual calm. Later, in the hallway, he pulled me aside. "They're talking," he said, voice tight. "About what?" "You know what." Panic clawed at my throat. I had fought my whole life to be respected in this field, to prove myself in a room full of men who dismissed anything different, anything weak. If they knew about us, if they knew about me, my career could collapse like a poorly built bridge. "We have to stop," I whispered, the words burning as I said them. Ethan's jaw clenched. "Stop what?" "Pretending we don't want this. Stop. Before it destroys everything." His silence hit harder than any argument. For a moment, I thought he'd walk away, that this was where our fragile story ended. But instead, he nodded once, his face unreadable. "Fine," he said softly. "If that's what you want." And just like that, he was gone. The weeks that followed were brutal. We became strangers at work, our conversations clipped, our eyes avoiding each other. At night, I drowned myself in distractions, late hours at the office, meaningless chatter with colleagues, empty rooms that echoed with everything I had lost. But no matter how hard I tried to bury it, the memory of his touch haunted me. I saw him in the curve of every unfinished bridge, in the quiet hum of the drafting room. I missed the way he challenged me, the way his laughter filled the silence, the way his presence made the world less heavy. Then came the accident. A construction site collapse outside the city. One of our projects. A miscalculation no one had predicted. Ethan was on site that day, overseeing the inspection. When the news reached me, my blood ran cold. I drove faster than I ever had in my life, heart pounding as sirens wailed in the distance. When I arrived, dust clouded the air, workers shouted, and chaos reigned. And then I saw him covered in grime, his arm bleeding, but alive. Without thinking, I ran to him, pushing past debris and shouts. "Ethan!" He looked up, eyes wide with shock. "What are you?" I grabbed him, pulling him into me, not caring who saw. For a moment, the world fell away. There was only the feel of his heartbeat against mine, the raw relief that he was still breathing. "I thought I lost you," I choked out. His hand gripped mine tight, grounding. "You almost did." And just like that, everything I had been running from crumbled. The fear of being seen, the fear of losing respect, the fear of breaking the rule set all meant nothing compared to the thought of losing him. After that day, I couldn't go back to pretending. It wasn't easy. The rumors grew, the stares lingered, And there were days when the weight of judgment nearly crushed us. But we faced it together. Ethan stood by me in every meeting, every difficult conversation. His presence a steady anchor. And slowly something shifted. A few colleagues offered quiet support. The firm, though not without its prejudice, chose results over gossip. And in the chaos of it all, we built something stronger than secrecy. Months later, standing on the edge of a completed bridge we had designed together, Ethan turned to me. The city lights reflected in his eyes, the wind carrying the scent of steel and river. "You know," he said softly, "this bridgeite's not just steel and concrete. It's us. Every fight, every late night, every risk we took. We built this together." I smiled, my chest tightening with something that felt like peace. "And it's going to last." He reached for my hand, openly, fearlessly, and for the first time I didn't pull away. "I crossed the line that night," he whispered, echoing the words that started it all. I squeezed his hand, my voice steady. "And thank God you did." The city stretched out before us, vast and unrelenting, but for the first time it didn't feel impossible. We had built something unshakable, something no rumor, no fear, no prejudice could tear down. And as the lights of Chicago glimmered against the river, I realized the truth. Love, like engineering, isn't about avoiding risks. It's about building something strong enough to stand, even when the world tries to tear it apart. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.